Hello, hello. I know it's been a minute since I did a video, but I just decided to do this since it's a topic that has been on my mind, on my heart, and I've been seeing a lot of conversations happen lately about the educational system here in America. So, as some of you may know, me and my husband pulled our son out of public school last year. So, last year was his first year of doing virtual learning. We found another school throughout, they offer courses throughout the state of Texas. And so far, so good. The thing is, the reason why we pulled him out, it was more than one reason. The number one reason was safety, because of our son's character. He's not a troubled child. He's a very happy child. And so he has a tendency to, he likes to try to get along with everybody. So he's very friendly and outgoing in that way. So he typically makes friends easy. So when we transitioned, or we moved, or we relocated, I should say, from the DFW area down to Southeast Texas in Beaumont, we noticed a drastic change in the school system here compared to DFW. And it was bad. So we had to pull him out. Not only was it the kids trying to bully him, it was a culture shock, because within the, well, I'll say DFW, that's the metroplex where we moved from, but the school district we were in within the DFW area, it was Crowley ISD. So within Crowley ISD, Crowley is a city within Fort Worth. So there's a difference between Fort Worth ISD and Crowley ISD. So he came from a good school. So from kindergarten all the way up to, I want to say, third grade, he did very well. Got along with the students. We never had any behavior issues, none of that. We moved here to BMT. So his school back in Crowley, it was a B plus rated school, because you know schools and within the public school systems, they're rated. So I should have rated the school before, I guess, BMT. Anyway, make a long story short, it was a big difference coming from a B plus rated school to a D rated school. So some of the teachers were great here in Beaumont, but a lot of them were not. So I'm not just blaming it all on the teachers either, but the students and the parents, I guess you could say. I'm always going to be the one to say that it starts at home. Your child's character development, their learning, all of that starts at home. And it's our job as parents to make sure that our kids have what they need before we put them out into the real world. Because especially as mothers, we are their first teachers. So if we're not mothering, if we're not parenting, we're just gonna throw them out there. And then another thing, this is what we've had to tell our son. Our style of parenting, we're gonna hold him accountable for what it is that he needs to do. But we don't know, we have a balance within our household. So we have to tell him, you don't know what another child is going through within their household. So whatever they might be doing at school in terms of bullying, acting out, it might be stuff that's going on within their home. So think about that as us parents who are balanced are trying to provide that balance for our kids is contradictory to be in an environment with other kids who may not have that balance. So then again, that's behavior. So safety with the bullying and just ridiculous. And so then it gets to the point to where the kids start taking stuff, breaking stuff. So I'll give you an example. 2 examples actually. So our son, for one of his classes, we had to provide him with some headphones for, I guess, his computer class or whatever. So instead of just giving him just the little basic little earbuds, he saw a pair that he liked that was colorful. They looked like the big, well, they're not huge, but they were colorful headset. Not colorful. We bought him 2 sets because they had a good deal on them. And so we had one at home as a backup in case it breaks or whatever. So one of the kids actually took his headphones and broke them. So the principal called and said, we're sorry that this happened and blah, blah, blah. So that was one incident. Another incident, one of the students hid his Chromebook. So his math teacher, who also happened to be his homeroom teacher, him and her, the teacher, they were looking for his Chromebook. And the teacher called me. She said, well, I know exactly where I placed it, because at the end of the day, they have to put their Chromebooks on the charging station. So she knows she placed it on there. But somehow one of the students, so she couldn't tell me who it was, but she found out that one of the students had took his Chromebook and hid it. So this was like the first year we were there. He was at the school. Then there was another incident where some of the girls were worse than the boys. One of the girls was actually pulling his hair and just picking on him. And me and my husband told her, well, maybe she likes you, but she just don't know how to express that. But anyway, it was getting to the point to where he would come home, we noticed his whole demeanor would change. He would be sad, and I'm like, that's not him, because he's very, upbeat and happy and jolly, and for him to be like that, no. Then his grades started to affect his grades, because he had always made good grades. So we was like, me and my husband got serious about this. We had a long, drawn-out conversation. We was like, we got to do something, because then you had other bad kids who were getting suspended. It got to the point to where it was always an incident. The principal calling and talking about, okay, this is happening, and they have to inform the parents. And so it got to the point to where they had to get rid of a lot of the kids who were just causing a lot of riffraff. So they sent them to like alternative school for the remainder of the school year. But then the next year came around. It got a little better, but then the academics, they started like nitpicking. The communication was horrible with the teachers. I'm very big on communication, especially with the teachers, and making sure we stay on top of our son doing what he needs to do to make sure his grades are on par. But it was one particular teacher that I had to stay on her ass. And forgive me for cussing, but that's how pissed off she had me. Because I make sure to dot my I's, cross my T's, document everything. So I had to stay on her. So I'll give you another example with that, of how I had to stay on her. I always make it a point to check my son's homework. Even make sure he do his homework, turn it in on time. So it was quite a few times that this one particular teacher, she would grade his stuff, but I'm checking it, I'm looking at it, wait a minute, this ain't right. So she was marking some stuff. Well, I can't say she, because she said it was the system that was automatically grading it. So I pointed out some flaws there. And so she had to go back and she said, you know what, thank you for sharing it. But it would take her a while to even get back to me, to respond to me. So I have to keep constantly sending her messages about this. No, you need to fix my child's grade because this is wrong. Now, of course, I didn't talk to her like that. I kept it professional all the way. When it got to the point to where she stopped, she wouldn't respond to my emails, I had to CC the assistant principal. Then I would get responses. And so I don't know if it just made her mad because I copied the assistant principal on it or whatever, but just like you as a teacher, you want to hold us as parents accountable. That's a two-way thing. If you have an active, see, that's another thing. I think a lot of them teachers did not have active participating parents to be involved in their kids' academics. And I had told them up front, I said, we are very active. We make sure our child do what he's supposed to do. So the same way we're gonna hold him accountable, we have to also hold y'all accountable because y'all are the adults, y'all the teachers. So if you don't want that communication, and I didn't get out of pocket with them. I keep it professional at all times. So that's what I did. But when it got to the point to where I'm starting to notice a pattern, it's time to go. So we got serious. We pulled our son out. So he started virtual learning through a school throughout the state of Texas last year. So that was sixth grade, and he did well. And another thing, it allowed him to eliminate the distractions from the other kids distracting him from being able to do his work, stay focused, keep his grades up. He didn't have to worry about the bullying and all, stuff like that. So that's sixth grade. So now it's back to school time, y'all. He is in seventh grade, same school, virtual system. And the teachers, I will say, the learning that he gets is so much better than what he was getting in the public school system. So I say all of that to say this. As we embark upon this back to school time, as parents, if you have that gut feeling, or if you're tired of all of these incidents with the public school system, do your research. It is definitely possible to pull your kids out of the public school system if you really feel that strongly about it. Where there's a will, there is a way. We make it happen. I'm so blessed and thankful to be able to work remotely. So as I'm working from home, my son is doing his work, his schoolwork. So we have a structure. We have a systematic way of doing things. So I have my schedule, he have his schedule. And it's funny because me and him, we had a conversation today about his school schedule. Now that school is just starting again. He said, you know what, Mommy, I think maybe we should get a bell. We laughed. Because you know how in regular school they have the bell when it's time to change classes. So the thing is, with his virtual learning, he has to spend 1 hour for each class a day. So let's say he have 5 classes. He has to spend 1 hour for each. That's a total of 5 hours for the day. But I told him, I said, well, hey, if you stick to your schedule, you could be done by 3:30. The earlier you start, the earlier you finish. And of course, if you run into anything challenging, if Mommy isn't in a meeting or I could take a break with something, I could help you with that. I'm also his learning coach, so that's how that works. On Tuesdays, one day out the week, they have live lessons with the teachers. The other days, they pretty much have to review the material on their own. but that's where the learning coaches come in. So the learning coaches will be the parent or any person that's designated to kind of be there to assist the students. So with me being his mom and his learning coach, in between, he typically does well on his own. Like if it's something challenging that he gets stuck on, what I'll do is I'll tell him, okay, especially if I have a meeting, hold it until later on, and then we can go over the material together. And it works. So again, he catches on pretty fast. So he just like his daddy. He'll look at it and he'll figure it out. So, but then I told him, I say, as you continue to go on to each grade level, it's going to get more challenging. So make sure you just push yourself, stay focused. That's another thing. As parents, we have to, mothers especially, we have to continue to motivate and encourage our kids to do their best in everything that they do. So that's what I do with him on a daily basis. I motivate, encourage, push him to continue to strive and do his best. So I just want to come on here and say that, especially to any parent who's out there on the fence wondering, oh my goodness, how am I gonna do this? I really need to pull my child out of this public school system. Or you know what? I can't even say that all public schools are awful, because the example I just gave, we came from a good public school system in the Crowley ISD area to this. So you just really have to do what's best for you and your family. Now, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit the thumbs up, subscribe if you want to hear more content. Also, if you have any questions about how I got started, what school, or if you have any questions about any ideas of schools to research, where do you even begin with homeschooling or virtual learning, drop it down in the comment, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care.